We would like to introduce to you a museum with a difference. This is not a big museum like the Salarjung in Hyderabad or the City Palace Museum of Jaipur. Unlike these museums which were started by the rich and the wealthy, this museum was started by a rank and file commoner, a common man who developed and nurtured a passion for the past, and with his untiring efforts has given us this museum, commonly known as the Kelkar Museum. Let me tell you about this common ordinary man who brought this museum into existence. Dinkar Gangathar Kelkar was born on the 10th of January 1896, exactly 100 years ago, in Karanjgaon, about 75 kilometers away from Pune. Dinkar's father was a sorter in the post office, one who sorts letters. When Dinkar was studying in Wilson College, Bombay, he began to write poems, and the themes of these poems were mainly historical. In all, he has written over 400 poems under the pen name Ajnadavasi. Since he was not doing well in his studies, he quit his studies and started a shop selling spectacles in Pune in 1920. Many of his customers were from the British Army, which had a big regiment here in Pune, and the Parsis, who were in sizable numbers. It was while working in this shop that he developed a taste for collecting articles from the past. He would go to utensil shops and search for old articles which otherwise would be going for recycling. And of course, he had to pay for all of these from his own pocket. He traveled far and wide into many states of India, driven by this passion for the artifacts of the past. His own wife, Kamalabai, actively supported him in all his efforts, even to the extent of selling her own gold ornaments. Dinkar Kelkar died in 1990 at the ripe age of 94. However, during the 70 years from 1920 to 1990, he managed to collect 20,000 artifacts of the old. We will not be able to see all that he collected, but let's see some of the important ones. Here we come to the gallery of utensils. You will see here utensils of everyday use, used for storing water, cooking, boiling water for bath, and this is a banana leaf for meals made out of brass. These are all made of copper. These are exquisite papier-mâché articles. This was used to make bread or chapati with this impression. For churning buttermilk. These are a host of wooden chakli, save and noodle makers. This is a 17th century multi-purpose kiln from Rajasthan made of copper and brass. This device is also energy conserving because it not only cooks but keeps the food warm. These large vessels collected from Maharashtra and Gujarat were used to store grains. They are made of china clay, ceramics and terracotta. This is textile gallery wherein clothes and articles made of clothes and saris are exhibited, which were made with a lot of artistic creativity. This is where the conservation of the exhibits of this museum takes place, and this is the fumigation chamber where the articles, clothes affected by fungus and insects are treated. This is a facade, the front portion of a Gujarati home of the last century. The objects that you see around are objects of everyday utility. This is the spinning wheel, the charka that we all know, used to spin yarn. This is the turban hanger, where people used to hang their turbans when they came from outside. This was used to make buttermilk, and this to grind masala. A modern day mixie probably would do both the jobs in a matter of minutes. This was a torso box that the girl carried to her husband's home when she was married. This was used to feed birds. This was where the grains and the water was kept so that the birds can feed themselves. This is the stone grinder used to grind grain. Look at the ornate stand provided for it. Now we come to the collection of lamps from the length and breadth of our country. There are about 500 lamps in all, from the period ranging from the 16th to the 19th centuries. Some of them are hanging lamps, some are pedestal lamps, some are rolling lamps. These are made of brass, stone, iron, wood and terracotta. They were used for domestic and religious purposes. This collection in Kelkar Museum is the single largest collection of lamps in India. The Surya lamp from Nepal belonging to the 16th century is a marvel of artistry depicting a horse-driven carriage carrying Surya Devata flanked by Usha and Sandhya. These 7 horses depict the different days of the week, and the 12 horses at the bottom represent the 12 months of the year, and the 12 lamps symbolize the 12 zodiac signs. And the 2 statues flanking the driver Arun represent Uttarayan and Dakshirayan. This is a rolling lamp. If one were to light this lamp and roll it on the ground, it will still remain upright because of the built-in suspension mechanism in it. This lamp is called the poison testing lamp. The lamp is made of a stone called Zahir Mohra, found in Arabia. When grains or any other edible substances containing poisonous stuff is brought close to the lit lamp, the color of the flame changes from blue to green, indicating the presence of poisonous material. Animal and bird motifs dominate the design of musical instruments here. And lending a special glamour to this collection are the musical instruments of famous Indian musicians such as Pannalal Kaur's flute, Hirabai Badodekar's tampura, Ustad Kadir Khan's sarangi, Bal Gandharva's tamburi, and so many more. This is an exquisitely carved front door of a rich man's house. This comes from Ramnad, Tamil Nadu, and it belongs to the 18th century. Look at the immense efforts put into it. This hall displays intricately carved doors of different centuries. This is a brass metal door from 19th century. This is an 18th century ivory door from Rajasthan. We are now in the historic and romantic site of Mastani Mahal. Mastani was a Muslim woman of outstanding beauty and talent, and she was the concubine of the Peshwa ruler Bajirao I. This recreated palace and its splendid and luxurious setting speaks of Bajirao's great love for this woman.
I am the honorary director of this museum. Let me tell you how we managed to preserve the Mastani Mahal from getting destroyed. As you know, the Mastani Mahal was a residence of Mrs. Mastani, who was the mistress of Peshwa I in the 18th century. In 1970, a builder wanted to demolish this structure which was away about 5 kilometers from here in order to reconstruct and modernize the whole thing. Mr. Kelkar, the founder director of this museum, he came to know about this idea of the builder, and he knew the worth of the entire collection. He approached the builder and wanted to buy the entire thing, but the builder quoted a very high price for the structure. Naturally, Mr. Kelkar had the handicap of funds. Fortunately, a family from Bombay, it came to his rescue. He donated the entire amount for buying the structure and getting it relocated at the museum. As a common man, he was a pioneer in private museums in India. His collection is worth several billions of rupees. As an art dealer, he could have certainly become rich, but he chose to donate the entire collection to the nation in the form of the Raja Dinkar Kelkar Museum, of which the city of Pune, the state of Maharashtra and the country are proud of.